Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's CJ. You're watching CJ Reads. Woohoo! If anyone has a white t-shirt recommendation for me, let me know. I'm on the hunt. I keep getting served an ad for Elwood. I've never heard of them before, but maybe they're good. I also got a haircut I don't really like that much, you guys, so please don't cyberbully me. I feel like a shaggy puppy. I feel like a Ramon. Kiki keeps calling me Joey Ramone. I mean, it's a lot to unpack here. Here's the thing with the haircut. I think I need to cut my bangs shorter because my hair is too short to have a long bang like this right now. And it's a lot. It's a lot for me to unpack. It's a lot for me to deal with. So send me your thoughts, send me your prayers. I'm not gonna cut it right now because I kept cutting them shorter and I think I made things worse. But yeah, that's my haircut update. So I had a birthday. I turned 30. I'm 30 years old now. Very cool, very exciting. It was pretty lovely. My parents and someone else got me a bookshop.org gift card, so I made a little cheeky order for myself, and I thought I would show you those books that I got. I think my new book buying principle is to look at the library first, see if they have it, and if they don't, I'm allowed to buy the book. Really increased my library usage since moving to Yuma, not only with e-library books on my Kindle, but physical books. They transfer them to the library near my house, and I get to go pick them up, and it's great. And they have like every book. And because it's Yuma, there's never a wait, which is so fun. I love it. Love the library, you guys. Maybe I'll show you my library haul too, because I got some interesting stuff. But this is the collection of books that I bought myself off bookshop.org. They're all tinies, which I find kind of interesting, but we'll talk about them. So first up, we have the Iliac Crest by Cristina Rivera Garza, translated by Sarah Booker. This is blurbed as being on a dark and stormy night, an unnamed narrator, love, is visited by two women, one a former lover, the other a stranger, who ruthlessly harass him and claim to know his greatest secret. In increasingly desperate attempts to defend himself, he spirals deeper into a haunted past of disappearance and memory. Blurbed by Samantha Hunt, and also compared to a David Lynch film on the back. That sounds very interesting to me. I first heard about this author, Cristina Rivera Garza, from a book talker. I forget her name off the top of my head, but she actually owns a small bookstore somewhere in New England. I'll link it down below and put it right here when I remember. But she was like, y'all need to be reading this awesome queer Mexican author. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's out by Feminist Press. Never heard of them either. Seems like a college press. Yep, at the City University of New York. I'm actually currently in the midst of reading Cristina Rivera Garza's collection of short stories. I kind of like dip in and out of them. Been reading it for like over a month, but I really like that too, and I'm interested to see what this little novel is like. Oh, blurbs by Yuri Herrera on the front too. I really liked Science Preceding the End of the World by him too, which I read earlier. That's the first book I got. Second book, I was surprised my library didn't have this, but they didn't, and I took that and ran with it as a excuse to purchase it. If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga. A lot of my friends have liked this, I think including Jalen, and this is blurbed as being, in post-Arab Spring Cairo, two unnamed characters meet and fall in love. She is a nostalgic daughter of Egyptian immigrants returning to a country she's never been before. He was a photographer of the revolution who is now unemployed and living in a rooftop shack. As their alternating perspectives unfold in blocks of taut poetic prose, their desire for each other, for the selves they strive to become through the other, take a violent turn. Do you ever feel like when you're reading on camera you can't breathe? I get so winded. A dark romance exposing the fraught fissures in American identity politics when exported overseas. If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English is a lush post-colonial novel for the 21st century. Great. Sounds great. I love this cover too. Really striking. Honored Guest, a collection of short stories by Joy Williams. I got recommended to read this one a lot when I asked what Joy Williams I should start with. She's more known for her short stories than she is for her novels. I read Breaking and Entering by her and I really liked it, and I also read Harrow, which I didn't like as much and actually DNF'd a couple years ago. So I think I'm gonna get with the short story vibes from her. Let's see what this blurb says. With her singular brand of gorgeous dark humor, Joy Williams explores the various ways, comic, tragic, and unnerving, we seek to accommodate diminishment and loss. A masseuse breaks her rich client's wrist bone, a friend visits at the hospital long after she is welcome, and a woman surrenders her husband to a creepingly adoring student. From one of our most acclaimed writers, Honored Guest is a rich examination of our capacity for transformation and salvation. Sure. Lots of people I know and trust liked this book, including Rebecca, her friend Lindsay, probably other people, maybe Julie from Lynn and Librarian, maybe more people I'm not thinking about. But this is a collection of essays, I think. Whole Studies by Hilary Plum. Has a Sinead O'Connor quote on the back. That's interesting. Just saw that. French flap. Gorgeous. We love it. Is this about Sinead O'Connor? There's also something about Sinead O'Connor on the front. Okay, hold on. Let me read this to you. Whole Studies is a book about care and the forms it may take, an essay collection on writing and labor, art and activism, attention as a transformative practice, difference in collaboration, adjuncting in the margins of the academy, whiteness and its weapons, professionalization and its discontents, the radical importance of surprise, friendship at work, the self and its public and private modes. Whole Studies keeps listening. What is it we need from each other? What could we still make happen? This book looks for forms of responsiveness and moments that matter. Whole Studies would like to work for you. That sounds beautiful. Very, very evocative blurb to me right there. Seems really big brain. Kind of scared of this, but we'll get into it. And the last book I bought myself is Devil Comes to Town by Paolo Morenzig. I forget how I heard about this, but I did, and it was on my Goodreads, and I read the synopsis again, and it sounded really fun. Okay. Wild rabies runs rampant through the woods. The foxes are gaining ground, boldly making their way into the village. In Diekerschrew, an insular yet charming haven stifled by the Swiss mountains, these omens go unnoticed by all but the new parish priest. The residents have other things on their mind: literature. Everyone's a writer. The nights are alive with reworked manuscripts. So when the devil turns up in a black car claiming to be a hotshot publisher, unsatisfied authorial desires unleashed and the village's former harmony is shattered. Taught with foreboding and gothic suspense, Paolo Morenzig gives us a refined and engaging literary parable on narcissism, vainglory, and an inextinguishable thirst for stories. Fun! Doesn't that sound fun? So as you can see, like some weirder stuff. That is what I'm going for, really, in 2023. Trying to shift what I'm reading a little bit. I have something in my eye, and pick up some more unsuspecting things. Fun. I got a couple of books from publishers too that I would like to talk to you about, and then we'll do the library haul. So this is a purchased free and library haul video it's turning into. It's from Zando Projects. Oh, okay. Zando Projects Monstrillo by Gerardo Samano Cordavo. A lot of people are liking this. Magical realism, horror elements. I think it might be kind of fun. Blurbed on the back by Alexander Chi. A bunch of other people whose names I don't recognize. But I think this is gonna be a vibe. After her son Santiago dies, Magos carves out a piece of his lung to save for herself. Acting on fierce maternal instinct and the dubious logic of an old folk tale, she nurtures the lung until it gains sentience, growing into the carnivorous little Monstrillo. She keeps hidden within the walls of her decaying childhood home in Mexico City. Eventually, Monstrillo begins to resemble the Santiago he once was with the help of his father's sensitive guidance, his parents' close friends' conflicted support, and of course, Mago's own unwavering loyalty. But despite this family's best effort to turn the monster they created into a man, Monstrillo's innate impulse threatens to destroy his fragile second chance of life. A thought-provoking meditation on grief, acceptance, and the monstrous side of love, Gerardo Samano Cordavo's ambitious debut blends both imagination and evocative prose with a deep emotional rigor. Told in 4 acts that span the globe from Brooklyn to Berlin, Monstrillo offers with uncanny clarity a cathartic and precise portrait of being human. Yeah, I've heard really good things about this. Ryan, I think his channel is Ryan's Bookshelf, just read it and liked it. Spud. and I think Jalen might be reading it too. I was considering having this be the Sunny's Book Club pick, but more people voted for Biography of X by Catherine Lacey, which, by the way, you can still sign up for it. There's still time. Okay. Also from some publishers, this is from Soft Skull, yes. Blue Hour by Tiffany Clark Harrison. They sent me this. Let me read it about you. Our narrator is a gifted photographer, an uncertain wife, and a biracial woman. As she grapples with a lifetime of ambivalence about motherhood, yet another act of police brutality makes headlines, and this time the victim is Noah, a boy in her photography class. Unmoored by the grief of a recent devastating miscarriage and Noah's fight for his life, she worries she can no longer chase the hope of having a child, no longer wants to bring a black body into the world. And yet her husband Asher, contributing white, Jewish genes alongside her black Japanese ones for any potential child, is as desperate as ever to keep trying. Throwing herself into a new documentary on motherhood and making secret visits to Noah in the hospital, this is when she learns she is impossibly pregnant. As the future shifts once again, she must decide what she dares hope the shape of her life will be. Fearless, timely, blazing with voice, Blue Hour is a fragmentary novel with unignorable storytelling power. Photography, DWM. Love it. Do you guys want to fight right now in the comments? Should I start some drama on my channel? That might be good. Big Swiss by Jen Began. This is getting so much hype, and I think it deserves none of it. I really do. I think it deserves almost none of it. It's about so many things. It is a sloppy, disconjointed ride. It feels like it was written for the screen to be optioned, and it feels like a waste of my time. The sex writing in it is bad. It's slapstick in a way I didn't like. It's one of those books that is like compulsively fizzy and readable, but when you're done you feel gross for having turned the page that fast. And I really disliked it. I really disliked my reading experience of it. Blurbed by two books that I liked on the back too. Melissa Broder blurbed this, and so did Beth Morgan, who wrote A Touch of Jen. I don't know if I just like was over this kind of weird sapphic narrative that felt disingenuous to me, or if I just couldn't handle the kind of, again, slapstick absurdity at this certain point of my reading life. But I really didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And all I've seen are rave reviews, so if you didn't like this either, please let me know, because I feel so alone in this. I know my friend Hannah didn't like it either. She actually DNF'd it. But, truly not my fave. Sorry, Big Swiss. Thank you, Scribner, for sending though. I got 2 more books as gifts for my birthday. Maybe we'll talk about those. They're both art books, so not something I usually talk about on this channel, but I'll show you anyway. I got Highway Kind by Justine Curlin, who is a photographer I really like, and I followed her work for a while. Published by Aperture. They publish a lot of monographs and photo books. Justine Curlin is a photographer who kind of embedded herself, it's signed too, which I think is really fun, who kind of embedded herself in counterculture and was part of like the train hopping community by choice. A lot of like incredibly beautiful large format photographs in here of nature, of trains, of people living in their camper vans and in tents, of houseless people and the communities that she interacted with. In this book also, it kind of has an essay at the end where it documents what it was like for her to navigate being an artist whose work required her to travel, and also raising her son, and the kind of stipulations she had to make for the kind of parent she wanted to be, and the lifestyle that her work required her to have. I think overall this book feels kind of gloomy and depressing. It's not that interior, I would say, and I think by interior I mean personal. There's a lot of landscape photography in this. There's a few more personal shots that I really gravitate more towards, like this one of her son, and then the interior of the puzzle on the camper table I thought were pretty beautiful. But all in all, there's a sense of detachment, which I think kind of parallels the rootless life that she and her kid lived to be able to kind of be in America on the road making this kind of work. I wanted to own this book for a long time, and I got it for my birthday, and I'm happy about it. That's how I feel about this one. The second book I got for my birthday, which I loved, is Florida. A24 actually published this, which I think is fun. It is incredibly interactive. You don't know I'm from Florida. I love Florida, Florida pride. A hyper-local guide to the flora, fauna, and fantasy of the most far-out state in America. I think Florida is incredible. I think this book was so gorgeously designed. And what I think is really fun is that Elena Schlenkner, who actually designed the cover of my book Midway, designed this book for A24. That feels big time to me, you guys. I'm like so proud of myself 6 or 7 years ago that I saw Elena's work and recognized that it was good. So I guess that's me patting myself on the back for good taste. But this is divided by geographical location, right? So we have the Panhandle, we have Central Florida, we have the Gulf Coast, which is where I'm from. It talks about Gasparilla, which is this really weird, like, Mardi Gras on the water event that we have every year that's pirate themed, and people on boats throw beads at you. I don't know, it's just a thing they do there. It talks about how there's drive-through bars and liquor stores. What else does it talk about? It talks about the Cuban sandwich, which is a staple in Florida. There's like actually a Cuban made the Tampa way, which is how I grew up eating them. One of my favorite foods ever. Talks about Ybor City, Cuban neighborhood, weird historical neighborhood. Talks about the Castle, which is a goth bar in downtown Ybor that's really famous. Talks about nudist colonies. There's a lot of beautiful photography in here, and it's just like colorful and well designed. And I'm so happy to own it. I love Florida. Love. Okay, those are all the books I got from publishers and for my birthday. And I guess we'll end it on my library haul, right? Right. Be right back again. Alice Knott by Blake Butler, my first library pick. So I don't remember how this came across my radar either, but I picked this up last night and began reading it. Blurbs are crazy on the back. This would be the perfect book for blurb telephone, that challenge that Julie has from the Linden Library. Laura Vandenberg, Alexandra Kleeman, Catherine Lacey, Chelsea Hodson. That's some CJ catnip if I ever heard of any. This is blurbed as being a hypnotic novel about art, violence, and memory by the novelist called Our Premier Literary Shaman. That's intense. Follows a reclusive heiress, talks about art and money and power, and we'll see how it goes. I love this drippy psychedelic cover. Really fun. Elsewhere by Alexis Scheitken, author of Saint X. I never read that when it was popular a few years ago, but richly emotive and darkly captivating with elements of Shirley Jackson's Lottery and the imaginative depth of Margaret Atwood. Elsewhere by Alexis Scheitken conjures a community in which girls become wives, wives become mothers, and some of them quite simply disappear. So kind of like an isolated mountain town, feminism, gender. I don't know. If you've read this and it's good, let me know. That's the thing with library hauls that I love, is you don't have to like feel bad about not reading them if you bought them, because you didn't buy them, you know? A Scapegoat by Sarah Davis. Jalen read this a long time ago and he really liked it, and it was always on my radar since then. What is this about? N is employed at a prestigious California university where he has distinguished himself as an aloof and somewhat eccentric presence, but his meticulous, ordered life is knocked off kilter when his estranged father dies unexpectedly, and as it increasingly seems to end under murky circumstances. Might be good. Carnality by Lena Wolf. I didn't expect this to be so big, and the type is very small in it, so I wasn't really in the mood to pick it up. And I might return it without reading it, and again, that's okay. I love this cover. I think it's perfect. In the latest novel from the critically acclaimed author of The Polyglot Lovers, a writer searching for inspiration goes on a darkly comic, delightfully absurd journey through a hidden side of Spain. Book that was recommended to me by Jalen. I'm not really a graphic novel guy, but I could be. I could become a graphic novel guy. This is blurbed as being a fascinating tale about an amateur acting group discovering the tenuous line between artifice and reality kept me reading well into the night. It is at once a commentary on the power of art to reshape us and on the dangers of conforming. Acting class is uncanny, wholly original, and deeply satisfying. Doesn't that sound fun? I have discovered that I kind of have trouble with reading retention when I'm reading graphic novels. I read a comic book for work with some of my coworkers, and I found it really hard to read words alongside images. I'm gonna see if that happens with something that's more narrative based too, and not more about like the theory of how comic books work. We'll see. Let me know if you've read this. Okay, that's all. My haul, my library books, and the gifts I got for my birthday. Hope you guys are doing well. And I love you and see you soon.